Hello, my name's Lorna LeClain, and I'm going to tell you about my senior capstone, Anatomy of a Southern Ohio Coal Town. Southern Ohio was once one of the top coal mining areas in the United States, often known as the Hocking Valley Coal Region. There were many towns that popped up during this time in the late 1800s to early 1900s, and growing up in the largest of the little cities of black diamonds in the Hocking Valley, I learned quite a bit over the years about what made these small coal towns boom and then bust. What was it like to immigrate into a booming coal town back in the late 1800s to early 1900s? Many didn't realize what back-breaking work it would be and how hard life was in a rural small coal town. What happened after the boom went bust? Some coal towns survived, such as the one I live in now with a population of around 5,000. But many others were not so lucky. It all began in the early 1820s when an immigrant came to Hocking Valley Coal Region. His name was James Knight, and he came over from England. He was pretty knowledgeable using coal, and he was the first person in the area to really realize what it might lead to. He would dig up coal from his yard to use in his blacksmith forge. In 1834, he wrote to a man by the name of Dr. Samuel Hildreth, who resided in Marietta, Ohio, and was part of the Society of Men and Geologists. In the letter, he described what kind of minerals were in abundance in the area and how the coal would seep out of the hills and valleys. He also was very interested in bringing the canals through. Unfortunately, he did not live to see the canal come through. About 1843 until 1853, the canals came through this area, carrying coal from southeastern Ohio to Columbus and on to Lake Erie, and then the other way is on to Lake Portsmouth to the Ohio River. The first immigrants to arrive in the area were from Wales, Scotland, and England. Most of these men had already been working in the mines in their home countries, and they came bringing experience with them. Then there was the coal barons that came. There was 4 main coal operators or barons that came to this area: Lorenzo Dow, Poston, William Barker Brooks, Thaddeus Longstreth, and Peter Hayden. These men were in the coal industry when the canals were carrying. Thaddeus Longstreth was from Columbus and came around 1867. Also about that time, the trains came along. The trains pretty much pushed the canal era out because the canal system could carry the coal. It would take 2 weeks for the canals to carry it. In the train, it would only take 7 hours to carry coal to Columbus and then ship it out. Prior to 1885, miners were only paid in scrip or checks that were only redeemable at the country store, such as in the song by Tennessee Ernie Ford, "I Owe My Life to the Company Store." In 1885, Ohio passed the Jones Law, which made it illegal to sell overpriced items and to issue scrip, even though many still got by with this method. Most of the people of the coal company owned their homes. They could only shop in that store. They couldn't shop even in other coal mining towns at their stores. So they really owed their life to the coal company store. And around 1884, there were 2 coal companies that consolidated most of the mines, and they pretty much had a monopoly, and they wanted to reduce the wages. A few of the coal operators voted against it, but it didn't go through. So Friday, June 20th, 1884, the syndicate and the Ohio Coal Exchange decided to go ahead and cut wages. By Monday, June 23rd of 1884, the miners decided to go on strike. This was called the Great Hocking Valley Coal Mine Strike of 1884 to 1885. Also at this time, they brought in strike breakers because the original coal miners, they did not want to go to work for those wages. They wanted to fight to bring back the higher wages, so the strike breakers were brought in. Many of them were Italian, Hungarian, Polish, from all different European countries. They also brought in many African Americans from Virginia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Many of them did not know what they were being brought into. Some stayed, others went on to find other employment. By March 18th of 1885, the strike was finally over. Although both parties lost the battle, the miners finally accepted the 50 cents a ton wage. Many lessons were learned along the way. By the early 1900s to 1920s, the coal was kind of an up and down industry. By the 1930s, a lot of the mines had been worked out. There was also November of 1930, there was one of the biggest coal mine disasters in the area, the Millfield mine disaster on November 5th, 1930. There was over 82 men killed in that mine, and unbelievably 2 weeks later the mine was back up and running until the mid-1940s when it finally shut down. After that, a lot of the coal mining wasn't underground as much, so it didn't take as much manpower, and it became surface mining. So with that, a lot of the boom towns ended up dying out, and today these little coal towns, the ones that do exist, have pretty much relied on the tourism industry. Many people come to see what the old coal mining life was like, but there are many of the areas are left just a couple houses, or maybe a road name that might have been named after a coal mine that was there. So when you come to the Hocking Valley Coal Region, you can still feel the ghosts of what was once a wild and beautiful place with many memories of a lifestyle that is no more. Thank you.